What's going on, everyone? It's DK with RPM Gaming, where we talk about retro PC and mobile gaming. And today we're talking about the Retroid dual screen add-on. We finally got our hands on it. So hit that subscribe button and let's get started. And so out of the box we've got our spec sheet, our quality sticker, our flat cable, and our Retroid dual screen add-on. And once you've got everything out of the box, you can take your flat cable and slide it in between these little tabs right here, and it'll hold it securely in place. Or you can just leave it hanging loose if you prefer it that way. You can slide it up and down, and it's held in there pretty tight. And then the top end of the cord here will plug into your Retroid dual screen right there. And now we're ready to put it on our Retroid Pocket Mini or our Retroid Pocket 5, which is what we'll be using here today. And when you open this up, you can see here the grips on the inside, they're rubber. On the top, on the bottom, and on the back here too. And then we've got our sliding mechanism right here, which has got a pretty tight spring in it, so it'll hold your device in place really well. So let's take a look at it with the Retroid Pocket Mini first. And I go in with the top end first and then slide the bottom end down. Then once you have it in place, you'll plug your cord in right here. And I'm going to slide mine back up a little bit because that's a little bit long. And I have mine sticking up longer on the top than on the bottom. And then when you close it down, it'll curve up and around like that. And it's not really putting a whole lot of strain on the cord, I don't feel like. I know some people have said that it has, but it seems to be doing alright for me. And the hinge will open up to 3 different angles. First, second, and then 180 degrees for that last angle there. And it's got a pretty nice hinge on it too. With that Retroid dual screen attachment on the Retroid Pocket Mini, it's got a nice and compact look to it, I think. One thing to note though, is that airflow on the back is more than halfway covered. Now up top, it's pretty open. You can see the vents right down in through there. Now your volume buttons are going to be completely covered up, but we can access those in the software now. And the other thing is the power button is mostly covered up. So you want to keep an eye on your cord down here and just slide it over just a little bit. And then you should have it over just enough where you can access that power button now. When your dual screen's closed, it's resting on the thumbsticks of the Retroid Pocket Mini. So your screen's not actually hitting the top of the clamp here. So you may end up having a few smudges on your screen from the thumbsticks. And this bottom part of the cord seems to stay pretty stable. The top end is the one that flexes and moves a little bit, but I don't think it's putting too much pressure on it at any one point in my opinion. And it does kind of brace the screen. I don't really play in that 180 degrees. You may, and it should be fine. That second position right there, that cord seems to brace it right there. I like that. On the Retroid Pocket 5, when your screen's closing, it's hitting that bracket right there, so you want to be careful with that. And then up top, we can easily access the power button here. On the Retroid Pocket 5, the top vents, they're still pretty open right here. And you've still got quite a bit of ventilation on the back, even though part of it's covered up by the dual screen attachment. And that's kind of neat looking on the Retroid Pocket 5, I think, as well. I'm not a fan of this big long cord, but it's not really that big of a deal. I think this might be a little better of a fit on the Retroid Pocket 5 with that Retroid grip that's made for it. So let's try that out. And with that Retroid grip on there, it is a lot snugger fit, but as you can see here, the screen closes down flush. It's not hitting on the edge of the clamp anymore. And then with this case on, you still got your ventilation up top here, but more of the back is covered. Now, it's not actually flush up against it. You've got a little bit of space in there, but it's probably going to get a little bit warm. And the screen on this is really not that heavy. You'd think it would be top heavy, but it's really not. There's got a little bit of weight in this grip, so that balances it out. Jumping back over to the Retroid Pocket Mini, we've got our dual screen attachment mounted and connected. And over here on the left side, we've got a plus and a minus button. And this is to control our screen brightness for the dual screen attachment. And over here on the right side, we've got a USB-C port for that pass-through charging. Once you've got it turned on, the first thing you're going to want to do is go into your settings, go down to handheld settings, and then go to Connect TV. Here you want to scroll down to set the video output method. And in here you want to make that 1080 by 1920 RDS selection. And when you have your dual screen connected, it's just going to mirror your bottom screen here. Let's take a look at that brightness control. This is the dim setting here. And then that's max brightness right there. So it's got a pretty wide range on it. If you just want to run an app on the top screen, when you're selecting that app, press and hold down on it. When you do so, it'll bring up 2 options, App Info and Screen Launch. Tap that Screen Launch option. And in here, if you have it set to global screen, it'll launch on both screens. The internal screen is just the bottom screen, and then external screen is the top screen. So now that we've got Emulation Station set to the top screen, we can launch it and it'll only show up on that top screen there. And you can do this for any app. And when you have 2 screens going like this, whichever whichever screen you tap on is going to be the dominant screen. So right now we're controlling that top screen with Emulation Station, and if we tap on the bottom screen, we'll be controlling it. So you can use this situation here to open up a web browser and maybe look up a guide for a game, or watch a YouTube video while you're playing a game. Now let's take a look at some dual screen gaming. We're going to start out with Azahar for that 3DS emulation. You're going to want to be on the latest beta of Azahar. Open up your settings and then scroll down to layout and then select secondary display screen layout, and you want to put that on the top screen, or maybe you want to put it on the bottom screen, but this is how you separate the screens in the game. And here we are playing a little Secret of the Ooze, TMNT, and like I mentioned earlier, you can't get to those volume buttons, so you can swipe down from the top of this screen here, and our volume button control is right here on the bottom right, so we can mute it and turn it up there too. We've got that top screen in that 16:9 aspect ratio. If you don't set it in the 16:9 aspect ratio, it's going to show up in the 4:3 just like the bottom screen on the RP Mini. We're back over on the Retroid Pocket 5, still using Azahar, and this is functioning pretty much just like a 3DS. You can use the touchscreen on the bottom here just like you would on a 3DS to look at your map, to save your game, and control options as well. In the Azahar settings under the landscape screen layout, we've got ours set to single screen. If you pick large screen, you'll have two screens on the bottom. It'll still be showing up here on the top. And there's several different layouts you can choose from and manipulate the screens, but I keep mine set on that single screen. We're moving over to Melon DS, still on the Retroid Pocket 5, and the first thing we're going to want to do is go to our settings in the top right corner here, and then scroll down to video, and then external display screen, and we want to set it to that top screen. And the same thing in Melon DS, you can use both screens as a touch screen. We're jumping into a little Contra 4 here, and the Melon DS emulator has quite a few options for screen customization. So we'll open up our settings menu and then scroll down to video and then external screen layout. And in here, default is already selected. If you tap this plus button here, it'll bring up a screen where you can customize your layout here. And you've got all your touchscreen controls on here, and if you don't want those on here, you just tap on one and then delete it. And now the blue screen is going to be your top screen, and the red screen is your bottom screen. So we're going to do away with our top screen on the bottom part of it, and then we'll make our bottom screen larger. And this is how I've got mine set up. And then when you go to save it, you can give your layout a name. And then here you can select My Layout, or whatever you've named it. And now we've got our bottom screen the same size as our top screen. And you can see we're able to use both screens. And you can make that bottom screen smaller if you'd like, but I like living large. Back in our settings, under Quick Settings, if you want that original DS aspect ratio, you can turn that on right here. You'll have to go back and adjust your bottom screen, but the top screen will be in that original ratio. So there's quite a few customizations for the screens in the Melon DS emulator. One more app that currently has support for the Retroid dual screen is the Cemu emulator, but they haven't worked out all the bugs in it yet. So right now, you can swipe over in your options and select Show Pad on External Display, and it will show it up here, but the touch screen won't work up here. Once you've touched it up here, you've got to kind of feel around down here and find out where everything's at. And once you touch it up there, you can control it with the D-pad, but after that, you can't control it. So then you've got to touch the bottom screen to make that your dominant screen again. You can swap your screens, but then you don't have any sound, and then you can't get to the menu down here on the bottom screen either. So they're still working on this, so hopefully they'll have it updated pretty soon, and we'll be able to use that top screen or the bottom screen as a touch screen. So it's still a work in progress. And with your device turned off and your dual screen connected, it will drain your battery. I've done a battery test from 100% overnight for about 6 hours, and it took it all the way down to 51% on the Retroid Pocket 5. And even with the device turned off, you can still hear a sound coming from this Retroid Pocket dual screen. Not sure what that is, but I'm imagining that's what's draining the battery. It's kind of like a real high-pitched hum maybe, but it's not very loud at all. We can try to pick it up with a mic, but I don't think you're going to be able to hear it. So the mic did pick it up a little bit there at the end of the video. You could kind of hear that high-pitched hum noise. But other than that, I think this is a great cost-effective way to do some dual screen gaming. So I usually just unplug the cord on mine when I'm not playing it, and that saves on the battery too. So let me know what you guys think about it, if you like it or not. I think it's awesome. As always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time on RPM Gaming.